begin. Hello, this is Grandma Jan from Red Toad Art Studio, and today we're going to make a little different kind of collage. If you remember, I posted a video just a couple, 3 days ago of painting my own paper, and we painted a bunch of fall colored papers. I had a whole stack of them that I did, and I've looked through them and I've chosen a few to make a collage out of, and I had to try it out. I did it with my grandkids the other day. I made this collage, and you know, I like making pretty collages, and this one made me happy. So I want to show you how to make this one. You may want to download some patterns I have online. They are in the description box. I have some pumpkins, an acorn, and different sized leaves. Now for this picture, I used the large pumpkin and the little pumpkin. And I used, I think, this large leaf and this little leaf. But there's all different sizes, and you may not want to make what I made, but you can use these patterns to cut out, trace them, and cut out of your paper. You can see I've done a lot of cutting out of my paper to make our collage. So this will be a big help to you. But if you like to draw, just draw your own on your painted paper. So, shall we start? I think we'll do it right here. The first thing we need to do is put our background sky in. And I painted a whole piece of blue paper. It's going to be my sky. And I want to tear it to size. I like that jagged, rugged look on it. So let's just tear the top of our paper. And this is a dictionary page. I didn't show the dictionary pages being painted, but they're painted just like these plain paper ones that we did. It's just on a nice big dictionary page. So let's go down. Well, let's see. Yeah, let's go down this side. And this side, how much do we need to take off? Not much. And then we want some grassy bottom here. So I think, about here. And we can save this little piece of blue we might need for something. And there we go. There is our sky. So let's glue that in. There's our sky. don't want any wrinkles, so we'll roll it out real good. So next we need to tear a piece of green, I like it looks like weedy green, to put along the bottom. Do I have enough? I guess if I use it all, I'll have enough. Yeah, that'll do just fine. Maybe just a hair off right here. Just like that. So let's glue this down next. Now, we need to cut some things out. If you're doing the picture I've done, you will need to cut out of your patterns a large pumpkin and this tiny pumpkin. And then you will need to cut out this larger leaf and this smaller leaf. Or smaller yet, you could cut out this one. You need a larger leaf and a smaller leaf. And I have already cut out my patterns over here. Let's show you how we're going to do a pumpkin. I want to show you on one thing how to trace and cut out a piece for your collage. Using a Sharpie, and I'm using fine point, I cut out my pattern piece, and I also cut out the stem of my pumpkin because I want that to be a different color. So, and we do both the pumpkins the same way. Pick a part of your paper that looks like a nice striped piece of your pumpkin. I think right here would be nice. And just hold it down with one hand and trace around it, and trace loosely. This doesn't have to be anything exact. If you wobble and go a different direction, it won't matter. All pumpkins are different. And while you're there, take a pencil and lightly mark where these lines come down, just to make it a little easier when you draw these in. In fact, I'm going to do it with my pencil first, so if I mess up, it won't be so hard to fix. And I'm just drawing those lines in. And now if I like what I've done, I'll go over it with my marker. All right, and then we need to cut this out. And put this away to use later. It's still early in the season, and you may want to make several fall pictures. Now here at the top, I'm just going to go over it like that. Leave something a little bit if you have it to glue to. Okay, and now my stem. I want to do my stem. So I chose a little piece of brown paper here to do my little stem on. So I'm going to do that the same way. I'll get my fatter permanent marker here, my fatter Sharpie, and around I go. And when I take it away, I'll look at how my lines were made and try to do them as closely as possible. They sure don't have to be exact. And I'm going to add some teeny tiny lines in here. All right. So I will cut this out too. Now I want to curve my bottom of my stem just a little bit. I think it'll fit on my pumpkin better. But you can do it the way you want to. Leave it the way it was drawn or change it a little bit. But I think that way I like. Be sure not to lose your pattern pieces. I like to keep mine paper clipped together. So this is what my pumpkin will look like, except I will add a little bit of shading to my pumpkin, I think, and we'll do that in a minute. Okay, just a dab of glue. There. See how neat our pumpkin looks? And you know, I think I want to shade my pumpkin just a little bit. And for that, you can use markers or chalk or colored pencils. And colored pencils is what I'm going to use. I'm going to just use a brown here. And these are just plain old Crayola colored pencils. So any colored pencils you have should work for this. And as the sun is hitting this, it'll cast a little shadow right here, 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 and back here. So let's just softly shade in there. And it just gives it an extra realistic look. And let's just do a little around the edge too as it disappears around the circle of the pumpkin. In fact, let me make this a little bigger for you. Okay. And you can just kind of feather the brown out from the colored pencil a little bit like that. And now we need to, well, I need to do that right here. I didn't do that, did I? I just kept going. Soften it up and feather it out. Now let's do it on this side too. And it makes a lot of difference in the way your pumpkin looks. Although, if you want to, you can just put it the way it was painted. I just like to add that little extra to it. It's really neat, this style of collaging. You don't have to go out and buy paper for it. You make your own with paint or pencils or chalk, and you make it the colors you want. And I want to also shade along the bottom a little bit. You do this however you want to do it on your pumpkin. I think I actually missed a line, but since every pumpkin's different, that won't hurt a thing, will it? Your pumpkin should be your pumpkin. How your pumpkin turns out. I'm going to shade it in kind of a U shape here. And then grab a yellow, a nice bright yellow. With your yellow, will it show up? Oh, let's not use that yellow. Let's use an orange. That might show up better. Yellow, orange. Let's try that. Yeah, that shows it. Where the sun is hitting it and making a bright spot or a highlight, let's put kind of a dewdrop shape right there in the middle of that segment. And you can kind of feather it out if you want. Right there. And here. And here. And every segment gets a little highlight. And up here at the top of the stem, a little bit. All right, and our pumpkin will be ready to be glued in as soon as we get the big one made. Now, for our big pumpkin, we do it the exact same way. And I have already cut out my big pumpkin. I haven't done my shading. So I need to glue my stem on and shade my big pumpkin. And we will do it the same way. And I'll make this line come up here and meet that. All right, so I need a dark brown to make the shadows. And since I've already showed you that, I will hurry up and do it, or I'll be back when I'm done. Now, for this orange, I will use the yellow, the golden yellow in the center of the segments. There we are. I'll do this one too. There we go. Now, doesn't that make a huge difference in our pumpkins from what they were with just the paint? But if you like just the paint, hey, go for it. Or maybe you painted it in a more interesting pattern than I did. If you painted your paper just right, you shouldn't need to do much of that. Now, let's put these aside. And you should take your big leaf and do the same thing. Trace it onto your painted paper, cut it out, and with your ultra fine point Sharpie, I made veins. Now you can probably get by with doing that with your fine point Sharpie, or do it with your colored pencils or just a regular pen. If you're going to seal it, be sure it's waterproof though. And so cut out 2 of those and take your little pencil and make 2 little leaves. So now we have our pumpkins made and our leaves made. Now I didn't bother shading or anything on my leaves because I had more on my painted page that showed up. So we'll set those aside. Hey, we've about got it. The leaves are the time-consuming part to fix because you have all these little jags to cut out. But if you're patient and go slow, it's worth it. So I'll set my pattern pieces over here. And let's get our book out. Okay, so let's lay out our pumpkins. I want a pumpkin about there and a pumpkin about there. And then a leaf. Now these aren't really shaped like pumpkin leaves, but with only part of them showing because we're tucking them behind our pumpkin. The part that shows looks like a pumpkin leaf, so it works just fine. And let's put another one here, or wherever you would like. And then I'm putting 1 pumpkin leaf on this little guy. And this one we're sparing to put up here on one of its little vines. So let's lay that apart. Now we need to glue these in. Let's take this one up and this one, the little ones, and really place where we want this big pumpkin to go and our leaves. Do we like that? Okay, pull out one of your leaves and add glue to it. There we go. 1 leaf glued in. Now gently pull up your other leaf. And slip that leaf under. That's about where I want it. So, let's flatten them down. And put glue on our pumpkin. And place it right where you want it. I think that'll be good. Be sure you've left room for your little pumpkin over here. I love the way this orange shows up on this blue sky. A fall blue sky just sets it off great. When you're thinking fall or autumn colors, you don't think about blue. You think about the oranges and the yellows and the golds and the reds, but we don't think about that beautiful fall sky. Remember blue. Now, let's take our little pumpkin. Where will we want it? About there, I think. And I want a green leaf to go right here to show up against this pumpkin. So I'm going to take my leaf out. And sneak it under there. And put glue on our little pumpkin. If you notice, I did the pumpkins in 2 different colors. Since this one was a nice orange, I did my other one in more of a tan yellowish color, so it would show up against the orange. Ooh, isn't that neat? Now, let's see. Let's press it down. Let's look at. Now, we have just a couple more things to do. Go back to this one and remember that we have little viney sprinkles, I don't know what you call them, coming up through here. So let's draw some of those, and I'd suggest you do that with your pencil first. Okay, and that's over those with our pins, our fine point pin, nice fat one. Okay. And then take your last little leaf and find a spot that it will fit against. That's too high up, but I would think in this area. And I'm going to trim the stem. And I think place it right there. And you know, if you have a book that has little pictures of bugs or anything, you might put a beetle or 2 down through here. I think that would be cute. All right, so we want to paste this in. We're almost done. We've got a few sprigs of grass to put in yet, and then we'll be done. Oops. I got a little crooked, but it won't hurt. There we are. And down here, if you have a black colored pencil, and so let's do a little bit of shadow work here. we go. That helps it out, doesn't it? Now, one more thing. You can do this if you want. I took a little of my leftover green and made a few sprigs of grass, just like that, to put down here along the pumpkins. Just a little bit. Something like that. I'll go up there a little farther. Like that. And then I drew a few lines in with one of my pencils. Let's get these glued down. There is no pattern for this grass, just cut some long skinny pieces out. Here we are. Now, as I mentioned, if you have a bug in some of your books, a little beetle, it would be very cute, or a moth flying around. I'm not sure if I do. I may have used all my bugs up. Now, all that's left is if you want to finish this, it can be finished in Mod Podge or some other sealant. And I think I will do that, but we are done now if you aren't worried about how to do the sealant. I hope you've really enjoyed doing these pumpkins, and I hope you do a bunch of fall pictures. We don't do much with some of our holidays, and I think fall is one that you don't see a whole lot, and we can make some beautiful pictures for fall. So I'm going to go ahead and seal mine, and I will see you later.